Hello everyone. My name is Highwada. You are on youtube.com/watch/ a whole bunch of random letters and numbers. And today, I got a new exciting video for you. We do have a new patch that has been announced for Age of Empires 4, and today we're going to go over patch number 110099, or as I will affectionately call it, 11009, because why the fuck not? All right, patch 11009. Let's get into it. Patch 11009 is releasing later this week, and so we wanted to provide a preview of what's to come in Age of Empires 4. In patch 11009, we're focused on responding to a number of items you, as the players, have brought to our attention. As always, we appreciate you for acting as our compass as we continue to balance and improve. We love to hear it. This time around, we're making some general changes to Siege to ensure there's sufficient counterplay, making changes to reduce animation cancelling's impact on the rate of fire to refocus on high-level strategy, and doing another pass on balance for a variety of our civilizations. Read on for the full list of patch notes, including in-depth developer descriptions of why these adjustments were made. The rest of it's just going over what normally happens with the patch where you can't go your replays anymore. So I'll make sure to get some casting done today so I don't run out of content for you. All right, general. We've made improvements to the animation canceling issues previously called out by players. We'll be keeping an eye out for your feedback to make additional adjustments in this area, but with this patch, units can no longer easily perform faster attacks than intended by using a move command after attacking to cancel the cooldown between hits. When playing Age of Empires 4, we want players to feel like a general and spend most of their time making important high-level strategic decisions. There's more work we're doing to ensure that we fully meet this goal. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one for me because what are they actually changing? Are they changing like the actual cooldown of the time it takes for an ability, like changing how attack speed resets and how attacks work? Or like what are they actually changing here? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm excited they're at least addressing the issue. Hopefully nothing else breaks while doing so. They fixed a bug where palisade walls could no longer be targeted. Great fix. I never actually run into this issue myself that I've at least noticed, but I'm very happy they're addressing a lot of these glitches and bugs from the last patch. Trebuchet projectiles now deal area of effect damage when missing their intended target. That's a welcome change. The Trebuchet was super underpowered in this game. It basically was a useless unit except for sieging down at long distance in Castle Age, and that was it. Still going to be good for sieging things down, of course, but now there's going to be a little bit more to it, allow players to really make use of the unit. It's really going to be interesting how the pro players implement it, because I want to see what the siege compositions now look like moving forward. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships' damage range increased significantly after researching the explosives tech. Great change. Thank you for the fix. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships were exploding 2 or even more times in some cases. To keep the unit balanced, we've increased the explosion damage from 300 to 400. I like this change. It makes the actual ships a little bit more powerful, but not overpowered still. Like they're going to be actually working how the devs designed them to work this time around. So I'm very excited for that change. Scout cost increased from 60 to 70 food. This was a bit of a weird one because they talk about here that they like that people are using their scouts for things other than just scouting, but they didn't want scouts to be like a big heavy raiding unit early in the game. They didn't want like armies to be composed of scouts, which makes sense. But how is this going to affect early game build orders? Are we going to see an impact on age up times now because of having to change when you get a scout out? It's only 10 food. So a villager is going to have to take one more drop off to get enough food to make up for that scout. If you're a civ like the French, let's say, that opens with 2 scouts a lot of the time, you may go for a villager first and then a scout potentially to have more food. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out. I'm going to have to wait to see what the pros do with that. Fishing. Oh baby, oh baby. We want finding a body of water full of fish to be an exciting opportunity. However, the gather rate of fishing boats was creating lopsided games with no comeback potential. This modest reduction still makes fishing the waters valuable, while opening up other strategic avenues for the player who isn't able to fully capitalize. As well, fish is intended to be a scarce resource like deer or sheep that provides a burst of food for a limited time. And the changes themselves are as follows. Fishing ships harvest rate reduced from 0.75 to 0.66 on shore fish, and shore fish the total amount that spawn in one gather point is 500 instead of 1,000. Deep sea fish have also had a change as well. Harvest rate down from 1.1 to 1.0, and the number of fish have been reduced from 2,000 to 1,000 food. So this is really going to impact maps like actually Black Forest a lot, I think, because on Black Forest, usually you have what, like 11 ships in your little pond there to gather your fish for you, and they last almost the whole game until like the 30-40 minute mark, generally speaking. On Black Forest, it is actually going to be a significant difference, and you're going to have to really focus on those deer and focus on those sheep and gather them early and prioritize that gathering. As I could even see some people opting to not go into water right away and waiting until they're more established to get an early aggression on land first in the feudal age. You got a faster uptime. Obviously, it's going to have an impact on the general play of water as well. There's other changes in this patch that I'm going to go over in a moment here, so we'll touch back on the water in a minute here. But generally speaking, this change is good. I like what I'm seeing so far. The devs are really listening to how the community feels about water, and I'm really looking forward to not even this patch, but the patch afterwards, and see where it evolves from here. Siege, impact on water, so pay close attention here, okay? Siege formation catch-up speed reduced from 100% to 40%. When units in formation reposition, they can get a speed bonus. This value maxes out at 40% for infantry and cavalry. However, siege units were moving much faster, and this could make them difficult to chase down, even with cavalry. We've standardized this value to 40% to remove the siege race car effect. Siege has been hard to kill. I know I've had a really hard time killing siege, even with like upgraded movement speed in the Holy Roman Empire infantry. So this is a great change as well. But on top of that, horseman, camel rider, fire lancer, and knight torch bonus damage versus siege increased from +10 to +20, baby. Let's go. Cavalry is intended to counter siege weapons. Their high mobility should facilitate the ability to quickly close the distance and destroy siege weapons. Cavalry are more expensive than infantry, so getting a critical mass to quickly kill siege weapons is too costly. Increasing cavalry torch damage versus siege weapons helps them shine in this anti-siege role. I love it. It's perfect. It's a great change. I do think that we are going to see a bit of an off-balance situation here when it comes down to cavalry in the game. Knights are already becoming really prevalent in the game right now. I'll put a card up here right now for a video I did about how strong the knights are after that last January patch. Now they're going to be even stronger against siege. That's a great change, don't get me wrong, but we're going to see even more early aggression cavalry and even more just cavalry in general. We're going to see infantry units falling off like the men-at-arms and Landsknecht because they're not able to keep pace with the speed of cavalry. We even see Holy Roman Empire players right now not going for infantry in the feudal and castle age and going for knights and horsemen instead. So is the identity of that kind of playstyle going to be lost because of this kind of change? I don't think so, but it is going to be impacted for sure because it was already impacted last patch. Bombard health reduced from 480 to 400. See additional changes to Chinese Civ specific Bombard health below. We will check that out in a moment. We found the Bombard's high health meant that it was able to fight cost effectively versus too many types of units. Its primary role is anti-building. We are still concerned about the damage per shot of this unit and will be closely monitoring its performance. I really like this comment from the devs. I feel like it really makes the player base feel listened to and heard, and that's a really healthy thing to be coming out of these developers. I know we had a really difficult time in December and early January with the state of the game because there was no patch, because they were on holiday, whatever, but they're really making up for it now. They dropped the patch notes ahead of time, so we know it's coming, and the game's already in a healthier state than it was. It's really good player relations or public relations, I would say, and I'm really happy to see that the devs are still listening and making changes. Siege weapons now deal their bonus damage versus ships. Is it just my thing where I clap in my patch note videos? That's my new shtick. On the real though, it is super important this change came through because now you can build springles to defend your water and defend your docks. You'll be able to repopulate your navy because you have units on the land that can defend the docks as they come out. So unless there's some weird range stuff going on that I haven't really learned about yet, we're in for a really great time. We're going to be able to get back onto water. Like Warring Islands are going to be interesting games to watch and cast now. Archipelago is going to be a little bit more interesting too. Boulder Bay, the big change is going to be on Boulder Bay, and I'm really excited to see how the meta evolves on that map. We'll have to wait and see what the pros do. I'll be making sure to cast a Boulder Bay game as soon as I possibly can just to get that out there to you guys. Oh, and to note as well, actually, naval units are so powerful versus land units, it makes water maps hopeless after a player's docks are destroyed, which is what I said. This change is targeted to allow siege weapons to trade blows with ships. Again, just great change. Adjustments made across the board to reduce siege move speed. Siege is meant to be lumbering, slow, and powerful. Currently, the power level of siege is there, but it oftentimes is too difficult to pick off when repositioning or retreating. This change is aimed at adding more risk and strategy to movement and positioning of siege equipment. Just general updates, right? The one thing you'll note is that they changed the bombards down to 0.62 movement speed from 0.88, Springle down from 1.0 to 0.88, Mangonel down from 0.88 to 0.75, and the Nest of Bees from 0.94 to 0.81. Bombards are the biggest change for movement speed, which does make sense. Bombards are just brutal right now. I hate them. I hate playing against them. I hate it. Mangonels are fine. I can deal with mangonels. I don't think mangonels needed to be nerfed. I think that we needed to be able to split our army with a split command. That is what was needed this patch for sure. If we're addressing siege, let's address why siege are so strong. Units specifically like the Nest of Bees and like the mangonel are only so strong because players aren't empowered to micro their army. Earlier in the patch, you talked about how you want to treat players as a general, right? But at the same time, the micro part of the RTS still needs to be there. We still need to be able to have that split-second decision-making, that in-game knowledge to move our units to certain spots in order to avoid damage. Like players like Hera have amazing micro, and he's been able to split against Mangonel shots very easily, but I myself have a very hard time because I'm not very good in that side of things yet. So we really need a split command to also address the siege issues too, but until then, I still think this is a great change. All right, Civ specific changes. This is the juiciest part of the patch, in my opinion. Abbasid Dynasty. Abbasid age up time reduced from 120 to 105 seconds for every age. I love this change. Abbasid lacks the ability to speed up landmark construction times with villagers to age up. Instead, they get to save their villager time to gather resource. This mechanic is intended to be a bonus, however can feel like a penalty as it limits the civilization's ability to dynamically adapt to the game state. We've reduced the age up time, so the House of Wisdom does not feel like a limiting factor, but instead a powerful bonus. Now, I've seen some discussion. Someone pointed out that they still would like to see like maybe garrisoning a unit inside of the House of Wisdom in order to increase age up time, but I think that I don't like that. Like against China, it makes sense to want that kind of ability, but generally speaking, in the early game especially, the age up time and not having to allocate villagers can really put you ahead in regards to your resource gathering and where you're at. You can use those villagers also to drop down a different building, right? You could drop down a barracks as you're aging up, or just like there's so many things that you can do. I don't know. I like this change. I think the Abbasid are in a fine place in regards to their age up time now. There are other changes that definitely need to happen for the Abbasid that make them more powerful. For the time being, I think this is an okay change. Next on the docket, we've got the Abbasid Dynasty and the Delhi Sultanate. I'm gonna stop that accent right now. Increase explosive Dow detonation range from 1 to 2 tiles so it matches the intended explosion radius. Dow damage increased from 8 to 10. The Dow was a very weak ship when it came to Age of Empires 4. It just didn't do as much damage as the other ships available in that age for other civs, so it's a good change, very welcome. Now on water, Abbasid, like there's a reason to maybe pick Abbasid on water. They're still gonna lose to the French, they're gonna lose to the Rus, they're gonna lose to HRE probably, but versus like Delhi or something like that, versus China even, I could see Abbasid on water being just a little bit better because they have the inexpensive docks. The Dow actually does stuff now, but they still don't have enough of an identity on the water, in my opinion, to really be worth picking. Berry harvest bonus increased from 25% to 30%. And berry carry capacity increased from 10 to 13. We found many players preferring to take sheep over berries because it saved villager walk time. Our intention is for the Delhi Sultanate and Abbasid Dynasty to play differently from the start with an added focus on gathering berries. I like that they emphasize this change. It's something that I've seen a little bit more lately, where we'll see Delhi and Abbasid players starting on the berries right away, but generally speaking, even myself as an avid Abbasid player, I've been going on the sheep right away because they're right on the TC. It's contesting food in the map as well. The weird part about the faster berry gather rate is that moving your villagers after a berry bush has been like completely harvested is going to happen faster now because of the increased gather rate and carry capacity. You need to reposition yourself on the map, right? So you're going to be in a situation at some point where you have to decide if you're going to go onto your hunt or your sheep or the faster food, which I guess is the trade-off in decision making that they want you to have. But you're going to have to invest other resources to defend it, like military units, like outposts with wood and so on and so forth. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think that it would have been better if maybe the Abbasid Dynasty can refresh a berry patch. Maybe they can regrow berries. Bushes and plants, they regrow if you cut them back sometimes. So I don't know. Either way, I'm excited they're addressing something with the Abbasid and going to make them a little more powerful, hopefully. And hopefully that berry gathering increase does lead to a higher pick rate and a little bit more use for the Abbasid, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Chinese clock tower bombard health reduced from 720 to 600 to match up with the rest of the nerfs to siege this patch. The Imperial official unit can no longer use supervise on landmarks. Love this change, love it. Chinese officials supervising their clock tower means the effective output of the landmark is tripled. This level of power was creating less varied and interesting unit compositions, as they could make such a large and powerful mass of siege units. I mean, I hated playing against Chinese just in general, like Hill and Dale. Honestly, if I'm going on Hill and Dale and I look at my opponent's match history and they have a whole bunch of Chinese, I'm going to dodge. They just turtle up. Unless you're really able to kill Chinese early, which sometimes you're not able to, going up against like the bombards and the nested bees and all that stuff in Imperial Age with like map control, with the keeps, with all the different like defensive landmarks that the Chinese have, it was just really difficult, especially at a lower level and at a casual level. It's just really hard to deal with. And even on Reddit, I'm seeing comments about how it was difficult to deal with in casual team games with friends. So I like this change. I think it's good. They're gutting Chinese right now, but they're going to find something to do with them at some point. Reload drills, reload bonus time reduced from 33% to 20%. If you didn't know, reload drills was a technology that was available to China in the Imperial Age, where it reduced the reload time of bombards by 33%. which obviously now is 20%. Reload speed reductions are extremely powerful. These technologies were some of the highest outputs in the game. We've brought them down to be in line with similar unit enhancements like incendiary arrows and chemistry. It's not going to have as much of an impact anymore. Good thing. It's a good thing. All the China nerfs are good here. Are they losing some identity now a little bit? Maybe they're not as strong as they were, but it's still a good thing for the casual gameplay side. And I think just in general, from a balance perspective, they were too strong in Imperial Age. They were able to mass too many units like that. Black Forest games were so boring against China. Nest of Bees damage versus ships increased from 0 to 4. So in line with the siege changes from previous help against water. This patch is about making water fairer and easier to come back onto, because water is just so one-sided. Nobody's enjoying water right now. Everybody dodges water. I want to see what the actual dodge rates are. Fixed a bug where the Imperial officials' tax collection cooldown sometimes didn't trigger. Whatever. HRE. Holy Roman Empire. My boys. Increased prelate base move speed from 1.0 to 1.12. Prelates are a critical piece of the HRE. They are intended to be repositioned within the economy as well as move with the army to heal and buff units with inspired warriors. Increasing the move speed helps prelates perform both their roles more effectively. I don't think I've ever casted a game where someone's researched inspired warriors. And if I have, I've completely missed it. It's an interesting change. It's an interesting change just because right now the meta is to go into the chapel. Once you're about to ready to time into castle, you'll build some more prelates out of your TC and move them across the map to capture relics and bring them back from sacred sites, whatever you want to do there. So what this change actually does is incentivize more play with the Minework Palace, because the Minework Palace is going to have more of an impact in feudal age if there's a feudal fight going on. Because as you know, the Mongols, the French, they like to fight in feudal because they have the Royal Knights and they have the double production, so like the raid. Increasing the movement speed and also the range, actually. Inspire cast range increased from 3 to 4 tiles to cover just a more wider area. These two changes allow the Holy Roman Empire to not be forced into that one landmark, because it makes more sense now and it works properly to have multiple prelates out on the map. So Minework Palace, you may see that coming up more in higher level games. I'm gonna keep an eye out for some games that might have that so I can cast it on the channel. I'll put a card up here if you're watching this later and a game comes up. But regardless, I'm really excited for this change. The HRE are looking to hit that sweet spot now. Someone else said it before, where they're going to be able to really be an effective civ and fun to play, and it's just gonna be a good time. Mongols. This is a bit of a disappointing one, not gonna lie. Several changes made to adjust raid. Mongols getting lots of resources. Who spell checked this? Relic. Mongols getting lots of resources for burning enemy buildings allows them to snowball an early lead with no hope of comeback. Getting resources from burning a building allows the Mongols to create more troops to burn more buildings. So here are the changes themselves. Base level of raid ability reduced from 50 to 25. So it's 25 resources you get. Raid bounty upgrade is from 75 to 50, so as it was by default before, and then from 100 to 75 for the improved raid bounty, which you get from researching it at, I believe, the blacksmith on an Uvu. I like these changes. I think it's a good change still. I don't think that it's really been that much of a problem burning buildings and getting resources, because by the time you're doing that early enough in the game where it's having an impact and you're snowballing like that, it's already too late. Your opponent's already basically out. They're done. Usually people surrender before it'll have actually any impact. I don't think this is the change that they needed to make. I think they needed to change maybe the production speed for double producing. You can produce double units for that extra stone cost, but they produce at 1.5 times the speed for both units. So if you have 2 horsemen coming out, let's say they take 20 seconds to make, it takes 30 seconds to make, because it's going to be 1.5 times production speed. But my thoughts on that. The Rus. High armory technology, fine-tuned guns reload bonus time, reduced from 33% to 20%. I believe that's just in line with the other siege changes. Nothing crazy. Rus getting by pretty scot-free here. You'll notice there's no changes to the French. There's no changes to the English. I do think that some of the changes in this patch aren't really going to be all that game-changing, except for on the water. The French are already just so strong on water. I think that it's still going to be very heavily favored for the French, no matter which way you spin it. There's going to have to be some other changes down the line, but I digress. What's next? With the last 2 patches, we've been focused on responding to many of the prominent balance and bug-related elements you told us would most improve your experience with Age of Empires 4. Following this patch, we keep an eye out for your feedback to better understand what other changes we might bring into play prior to our spring update, referenced in the community roadmap here. The team's also monitoring matchmaking wait times and investigating additional steps to further improve this experience across skill levels and offer competitive opponents without prolonged wait times. And they talk about like the ranked season preview. I didn't cover the ranked season preview because I didn't try to get into it. Maybe I'll do that for next time. That's all the patch has to say. Basically, Relic is saying we are going to drop another patch before the spring update. before the big one that has like all of the new changes for like scenario editor. I believe it's scenario editor. Let's look at the roadmap for a second here. This is from November. Spring update is looking to bring the user generated content creation tools, which is, I need it so badly. I need the UGC creation tools specifically because for me, when I make my thumbnails, I have to literally start a sandbox match, start from scratch with a TC and 6 vills or whatever it is, and make the buildings and get the relics. And like in my last video, I have like a Mongol shaman in front of their religious building with 3 relics outside of it. That took like 10 minutes because I had to place the building across the map for a good spot to take the screenshot, move the vills out of the way, make enough shamans to go and capture them in a timely enough manner, and bring the relics back over just to take a screen cap for a thumbnail. So I'm really excited for the UGC content tools coming up in the spring 2022 update. They're going to add the patrol feature. So press P on your keyboard, click a point in the map, and the units go bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, back and forth. Some more balance updates and bug and performance fixes. Performance would be nice. Even running the game on like a medium setting right now, I have a RTX 2060 and I'm getting like 40-50 frames on Lipany and high view because they're just, I don't know if it's not optimized well. I have an AMD Ryzen, so I don't know what's going on there. Performance fixes, please, we need some performance fixes. Anyways though, folks, that is everything I got for you today regarding Age of Empires 4, the February 2022 patch. If you like this video, make sure to leave the video a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel for more. Leave a comment. Let me know what do you think of the patch? Do you think that they should have done more? What changes do you like? What changes don't you like? I want to know what changes you want to see in the future as well, so let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next cast. Cheers!